Okay, everybody. So today we're going to start going over our second unit, which is going to be over conditional statements. It's actually not just conditional statements. It is logic. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you this unit is not your normal math unit. In fact, a lot of you are going to be mad because it's not math. Some of you are going to be very happy because it's not math. This is logic. So there's a lot of writing in it. Now, I'm not talking about writing paragraphs or anything like that, but this is the introduction to the logical thinking we do here in this unit is an introduction for what we need to do to be able to do proofs, which happen throughout the year. So today we're talking conditional statements and what makes a conditional statement, and how that works. This should be a short video, I hope, less than 10 minutes. Let's get started so that we can get done. So on your guided notes page, it should look like this. We've got a hypothesis. A hypothesis is notated by the letter P. Okay, it is the first part of a conditional statement. The first part of a conditional statement. It does not include the word if. I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. Okay? So the first part of a conditional statement, it does not include the word if. You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. The conclusion. The conclusion is notated by a Q. And this is the second part of a conditional statement. The second part of a conditional statement, it does not include the word then. And again, all of that will make sense in just a little bit. All right, I know you're like, okay, it doesn't include that. It'll make sense. Conditional statement. A conditional statement, the shorthand for that is to say, if P happens, then Q is going to happen. All right, if P happens, Q happens. A conditional statement is it is an if-then statement. Made up of a hypothesis and a conclusion. Really, that's it. It's an if-then statement. I really don't know what else we need to say about that. Let's see, an if-then statement. I honestly think that kind of covers it. Think for just a second here if there's anything else I need to tell y'all. A conditional statement. I think, let's see. Yeah, that's it. I mean, really, that's really it. It's an if-then statement. So a converse. Okay, converse is very similar to a conditional statement. Okay, a converse and an inverse, the one after it. All right, so converse. The shorthand for converse. Okay, it's very important that we understand these. The shorthand for converse is Q, then P. Okay, so basically, it is a statement which switches, ES, the hypothesis, I'm going to just label it P, and conclusion, I'm going to label it Q. All right, so for example, if this had been, I don't know, if I have brown eyes, then I have brown hair. I don't know. Well, this would be if I have brown hair, then I have brown eyes. That's what that would be. The inverse is when you include the not, or the opposite. Okay, if not P, then not Q. Now, The little squiggly there we're going to get into later, but squiggly means not or the opposite. So it means it's a statement where the hypothesis and conclusion are negated. Now I'm going to get into that in just a little bit, what that means. For example, all right, so again, if this had been if I have brown hair or brown eyes, then I have brown hair. I believe that's what we said. This would be if I don't have brown eyes, then I don't have brown hair. You negate it. You make it the opposite. This is has brown eyes, doesn't have brown eyes. Has brown hair, doesn't have brown hair. And then the contrapositive is when both of those things happen. It's when we negate them and we flip them. Okay, so it is a statement where the hypothesis and conclusion are negated and switched. Okay? So on the next little part down here, we are going to write the conditional statement based off this sentence. We're supposed to write this sentence in a conditional statement form. So it says, I will get good grades if I go to school. All right? Well, it's good to look for key words. Okay? And the key word you should really look for is the word if. Okay, in this case. So that is actually what we should write down first, because that is our conditional. If this happens. If this happens, then this will happen. Sometimes it's going to be at the beginning. Sometimes it's going to be at the middle, like this is. But you got to look for the word if. Sometimes it's the word then. It helps you figure out where things go. So this conditional statement would be, if I go to school, comma, then I will get good grades. Now what it tells me to do is I'm supposed to underline the hypothesis. The hypothesis is, if we look back up the top, it is the first part of a conditional statement. It does not include the word if. This is the hypothesis. I go to school. That's the first part of the sentence, not the word if, just that. And then we're supposed to circle the conclusion. The conclusion, again, is the second part of the conditional statement. It does not include the word then. So I circle all of this. I will get good grades. See that? So now this is going to help me out. This is my P. This is my Q. So now by using these things up here, it's going to be real easy to do these. So for Converse, the next one, I just need to take these two things and flip them. So if, now I don't want to say if I will get good grades. That doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound right. If I will get, how about if I get? Pardon the bell, sorry. If I get good grades, comma, then, all right, so that was the first, it was Q. Now I'm going to do P. Then I go to school. Well, if I get good grades, then I go to school. How about then I went to school? Then I went to school. All right, there it is. If I get good grades, then I went to school. That is my converse. My inverse is going to be going back to your normal P and Q and making them the opposite. Now, I love asking this question. I say every year, what's the opposite of I go to school? And they say, I go to the mall. I stay home. I go to the donut shop. You know, there's weirdest answers ever on these. The opposite of I go to school is I don't go to school. It's that simple. You just add the word do not in there, don't in there. If I don't go to school, that's the opposite of if I go to school. Then, and the opposite of I will get good grades, is not I will fail. The opposite is I will not, or I won't get good grades. Alright, That's the opposite. Now I've got to do both things for the contrapositive. I've got to flip these, got to switch places, and make them the opposite. So if the opposite of this, then the opposite of this. Because it says right there, the Q and the P switch places, and they become the opposite. So it's going to be if the opposite of this, I will get good grades. So if I don't get good grades, comma, then the opposite of this. I didn't go to school. Alright, that is conditional statements in a nutshell. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope that works. I hope you understand it. Go back and watch this again if you need to. Just remember, conditional statement is P and Q, hypothesis and conclusion. Converse is when you flip those, you do the conclusion then the hypothesis. The inverse is where you put the word not into there, or sometimes if the word not is already there, you take it out. And the contrapositive is when you flip them both and make them the opposite, or add the not in there. Hope that works for you guys. We're going to do some work on this tomorrow. Thank you.